when you start like seeing yourself with love, compassion through everything, like your shadows, the scariest thing you do, that if you could start bringing love and compassion to your darkest things, your addictions, all the shit that maybe you only journal about or say to yourself, you can bring love and light to you first. It's a ripple. And that's how healing truly begins for yourself. Others start seeing it. It's an energy that either if it's a huge different state of consciousness, it'll repel it. But for most people, it's going to be like a refreshing, authentic energy that I think it's what's needed.
I'm so excited. I just came off of this amazing retreat weekend. It was everything. It was relationship intensive. But I think the beauty of it for me was that I feel like my current relationship with my partner is absolutely amazing. So I wasn't going with a specific intention of working on anything with him, but always knowing that I can learn and improve. It was more, for me, it was a relationship with myself. I got to experience some amazing things with this amazing guest on the show today, Daniel Rios, who was holding space at this beautiful event. So I just want us to have a conversation about this because it was so incredibly magical. And
Awesome, Amanda. Thank you for having me in your show. Yeah, it's been an honor connecting with you and connecting with the group, especially that inner circle group. It's an amazing group of people that are very open, trusting, and really we just do it all from love, intention to support you guys, move energy, have the breakthroughs that y'all need so you can continue healing, empowering yourselves, and creating the life that you desire. Once we understand that they're all self, we can restart rewriting the script from a place of creation and energy of creation. And some of that energy needs to be shaken in person, oftentimes with plant medicine, oftentimes through experiences and through containers and guidance that we know are powerful, and people that are like deep in their practice in specific fields that can go deeper in certain areas that we can't take you. So we really wanted to bring it for you guys. And I think we brought it.
Yeah.
You never imagine how it looks on the other end, but I was like, all right, we brought it. And all right, it was great.
And
Yeah.
and the energy just of the people and everybody with the same intentions of wanting to learn and wanting to heal and wanting to grow. And the power of that is just, I've done several previous episodes on the power of community, and most all of the guests that I've brought on to the show so far have been people that I've connected with through the community, and they're all doing different things. Like you said, have different paths. We're all connected, seeing that we're all connected, we're all one, we're all united, that we've all gone through just a different variation of the same shit. And it's once you can take that mask off and admit that and take ownership of that, then it's not quite so scary because then you see everybody else is the same. So it makes it so much easier. I was just thinking earlier, there have been so many different, people throughout my journey that have been part of my healing process, from Mel Robbins and Kathy Heller and Jennifer Blanchard, and then of course, Danny, Mark England, and you, all these different people sharing different bits and pieces. It just showed me that there's so much to heal in me, that one person just giving their information, it was like, I need to see, feel, and hear this in all these different ways, in all the different things. It's all connected. That's really why I wanted to start this podcast. I've gathered all this information, all these experiences from my own life story, and then healing from all these other different people who have taught me things and helped me heal myself. Let's just keep doing this and spread the love. Be able to connect to Danny's community with the Awaken, the Inner Circle, but then also with the Getting Lifted and Mark England and Kimmy, everybody. So it's really cool to be on this journey and get to be part of these two amazing communities and help heal each other like that.
Yeah. And for me, when I started working with Danny and thinking of the people to bring in, I'm like, who's the people that were super helpful for me in my life? I know Mark does like a yearly lake house and lifted trip. I highly recommend you go to that. It's super fun.
Oh, mark me
Yeah.
down. I'm already there.
And Mark is great. He's great to be around. It's cool because it's people that have their gifts. Like working with Mark, I've had experiences that feel like plant medicine.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate. I've been like close to them. I've spent New Year's with them. I spend Christmases with them now. And I understand that having these people in your life energetically is so much different than just like listening to a podcast and actually like spending time. Because a lot of people have like certain relationships with money and certain relationships with like how things, like just certain stories, how things should be done. And we learn a lot from our parents. It takes a lot of courage to be like, "Hey, I'm going to learn from other people and let go of what I know to be true and invest in myself." A lot of people don't invest in themselves. And just the act of saying, "Hey, I'm worth money." Like some people will spend way more money on a car than they would on like their healing or their personal development. I think a lot of it, even just the act of investing in yourself, whatever that is, that's for the betterment of you, it starts activating something different for people. And if it's something like working with the whole awakened world that we have, whatever that is, whatever's for the betterment's always the best investment. And the more, honestly, y'all get so many beautiful results because y'all are invested
Yeah.
energetically, financially. So y'all get the best results. It's crazy. It's super wild, but it's like the people that are in the collective get slower results, have less
Yeah.
investment. But when people are like, they're more investment, they're like, I'm going to act, I'm going to do everything faster. And it shows.
Yeah. And what I realized that it was for me was I mentioned all those different people that have got me to this point, and a lot of that was me opening myself up to learning another option, right? Another way. And then I learned it. I had all the knowledge bucket in my mind. I'd taken it all in, but I wasn't really at the level where I believed it. So then getting a little bit more involved and getting into the collective and seeing other people a little bit more got me to the next level of believing it. And then really whenever I stepped into the inner circle team and could really like touch and feel real stories of people every day and really connect on that level of energy is where I started to really feel it more. For me, it was like learn it, then believe it, and then now I'm feeling it, and it's, like,
Yeah, yeah.
really after putting it into action, and I believe that the words was, like, the final piece, that story that's really putting it into action to actually feeling it.
Yeah.
It was like
Like
all the pieces
become
happen. Yes,
like fully
becoming it,
embodiment.
and being around the people that have elevated me to that space to believing it, because you can feel their energy helps you to be able to
Yeah.
change it from believing it to feeling it.
It's like a new energy and it's like new depths within that space. Because for a lot of times, it's not a space that we've been. Maybe that's reflected in business. Maybe it's reflected in our health, but maybe it's not reflected in our relationships. Maybe it's not reflected with money. Maybe it's reflected with money, but everything else is crap. And so, yeah, it's the work is deep. And from the people that I talk to, that I've been in this journey for a long time, they just recognize that it's like a lifetime because we have cycles, and through those cycles, we're going to change and we're going to need to let go. Like the human experience, as long as you're alive, you keep having it. And regardless of whatever stage, whatever condition you're in, like the soul has a purpose here and it's to be expressed in this 3D world somehow. And yeah, like I've been very fortunate that in my upbringing, I can be in a room like we were last weekend with a bunch of millionaires. And here in 3 days, I'm going to be with hippies in a sweat lodge. And it's all relatable. The human experience is the same. Just the movie looks different. Really, what I see, all of that we provide is space for people to just literally that space. Sometimes people don't give themselves space, but to
Yeah.
really like connect, understand themselves, connect with what their heart really desires. But to do that, sometimes we got to remove those blockages and like the energy that's trapped within, that's generational, that's from mom, dad, that there's wounding, that there's stories that, and like Mark said, turn on the volume on that and step into like our divine self and elevate that, the volume of that, because that exists too. And it's just who do we want to listen to? What do we want to choose? Do we want to choose creation, or do we want to be a victim of life's unfoldings? Do we want to flow with life, or we want to resist life? And when we can truly surrender and be with everything that is, we can actually do something about it. And we provide those tools in the space for people to navigate that, because it's like the Matrix. We took the red pill and going back, it'll be painful to go back
Yeah.
and live in pain and live in patterns and No fun. Yeah.
And I realized during the journey this weekend, I got up in the middle and came up to tell you, like,
Mhm.
Daniel, you changed my life. And I kept seeing everybody's face and all these different people that have been part of my journey. And then I went back and got back in my space. And then I like heard Danny saying, no, you changed your life. And I was like, you guys have all given me the tools and the resources and the space, but I did all the work. I did it.
Mm.
And I'm like, I know that. And no matter what you say or do, it's all about what I say and do. So it's like getting back to that space, getting back to your heart and seeing that you have to put yourself first. And it is that relationship with yourself is that primary goal. And when you heal that relationship with yourself and start believing and trusting in yourself, then those around you, whether it is your relationship with a partner or your parents or your friends or your purpose or your money or whatever it is, those are naturally going to become at least a little bit
Yeah,
easier
yeah.
to work through when you heal it with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it increases the capacity for sure. And I think that's what the blockages do. They block you from capacity energetically. And a lot of this is just like emotional energy that we got to feel, move. I think a lot of people, like what you said in the beginning, like you knew a lot, you understood it, but you didn't
Yeah.
embody it yet. And so a lot of people are there. They understand, like they have awareness to certain ways they show up. They have awareness of certain aspects. From what I view from the majority of practice, there's a lot of people that can take people really deep is it stays at the mind and never goes deeper to feeling, to getting into the heart, like getting into the emotional body and really honoring yourself. And it is the self-love journey when you start like seeing yourself with love, compassion through everything, like your shadows, the scariest thing you do, that if you could start bringing love and compassion to your darkest things, your addictions, all the shit that maybe you only journal about or say to yourself, you can bring love and light to you first. It's a ripple. And that's how healing truly begins for yourself. Others start seeing it. It's an energy that either if it's a huge different state of consciousness, it'll repel it. But for most people, it's going to be like a refreshing, authentic energy that I think it's what's needed. There's a lot of truth, with the internet coming out, and also a lot of lies too. But with a lot of it, there's an ability to communicate like we never have before, like we're doing it now. And I think with that, consciousness is also expanding towards that. And we're having this conversation, but yeah, it's really cool that at this time of age is such a common conversation I can have with most people. Most people I've heard about plant medicine, cannabis, they're more open to that. Yeah, I would just say people are more open. It's all happening perfectly as it should and for a reason because we're still experiencing as much darkness. So the polarity still exists. Man, I can yap about stuff forever.
Let's take a little turn then and talk about relationships because outside on the surface, and from what I see from you, it looks like you have a beautiful relationship with
Mm,
your partner. And curious to hear a little bit more about your story with her, how it
mm,
intertwined maybe with your healing journey and you attracted the person that is the person of your dreams. Because I feel like for so many people, part of their relationship struggles are people haven't had any examples to learn from. So we just had to figure the shit out on our own and make the rules up as we go. So tell me how you feel like it's impacted your relationship.
yeah, I'll take you back to the beginning of all of this. So I was in a 14-year relationship. In my life, I've been more in relationship than I've been single. So I started dating this person. I was 16 years old and we dated all the way up till I was 30. We built the entire life together and we started our healing journey at the same time. I'm a much faster integrator. If I have an experience, I take a lot away from it. I take really fast action for the most part, and things happen fast for me. And I think that played part in it too. We wrote that relationship all the way to the end. And it got to the point where it felt more for me that it was time, it was going to be way more energy, try to make corrections than deal with the transition. So within that, I went on being single for a few years, getting to know myself, my own energy, never dated. It was super fun. It was super awkward too, because I'm like 30 years old, like starting to date again, learning how to do that. So I had an opportunity to come from an interesting lens when I've been in a long-term relationship. I was already in healing and personal development work myself, a lot of it through my past relationships. I would show up a lot of times very different for people by the simple fact I would text back or just normal conversations that I thought were normal. A lot of women, it blew them away. It was crazy. And that led to like me getting to the point where I've dated, I had been single, and I understood like what energy came out of me when I was in commitment, how I showed up. And so I was looking to move back to Mexico and I met Ida, my wife. We were just friends. She had a boyfriend at the time. In the time of finishing this like single Danny dating, and I was like getting tired of that energy. And I started like transitioning out of being in relationships more in my solo time and like understanding that like I I like myself better in relationship. I'm more organized. I think more about the future. It's a different energy. So I'm like, you know what? It's time. So I started choosing that, opening space for that. And within that relationship, we were friends. It was cool because there was never like an obligation. Like it was never romantic. So there was never like that energy. In the beginning, it just naturally grew over time. She became single. I stopped like focusing my energy on different women. And it just naturally grew to like a beautiful relationship. And a lot of it for me, I just followed honestly my heart. There was moments like I just felt really good. A lot of differences. Her being from Eastern Europe, a bit of a colder culture, me being Mexican, her being I grew up in the US, so I am an immigrant to the US, but I was young. I got my bulk of socialization here. And so she came in her 20s. So there's a bit of, she sometimes calls me American. And sometimes she calls me really Mexican. So it just depends on the day. And that led to a lot of dropping into my heart throughout this entire relationship. Fully, I think, for the first time in a relationship where we started dating. And I knew one of the big things that drew me to her was the idea of her being a mom. And I was in the point in my life that I had a lot of journeys on medicine, plant medicine, and understand that that was a big chapter for me. That's really like the next step in my journey is to have kids and raise a human. That's going to be the biggest mirror that I can create. And yeah, when I was dating, I'm like, I think she'd be an amazing mom. And were my intentions about that? I never had those thoughts about anybody. There was like always a fear, and it had to be mine, right? From the 14-year relationship that I was in. So there's a lot of shifts happening with me through our relationship. And she was never really into the plant medicine space. I dabbled with yoga, personal development, but not to the depth. It was my life. Like I made it my life. So there's like bit differences there energetically. She was never the guy that she intended to be with. She always thought she would be with like a corporate, like COO, CEO, CFO type person, not a guy who guides medicine and guides people to like cuddle sessions and connections, physical touch. And for me, I've honestly really have made a lot of my choices navigating a relationship from tapping into what I feel. And I remember the first time I was like, all right, we're a couple months in, things are really beautiful. She's 35. She really wants kids. I don't want to waste her time. What do I want to do? I'm like, I want to honor her time. I want to honor my time. And I had to really sit with the feeling what it would feel like to end the relationship at that moment, to honor what's best for her, what would be best for me, and sit with moving forward with it. And I just had a lot of fear. And there was like just this fear of failure. It was like I've had a relationship that quote unquote failed, right? Because we were 14 years, we did everything that a relationship should, but we weren't together. And I'm here on the other side of life, like loving and enjoying my life like I had never had before. And I'm like, what's the fear? I'm good. Whatever had to happen needed to happen. Whatever will happen, will happen. And just surrendering to that feeling, that openness that felt really good, and just lean into that. So I was all in after that. So after 3 months of dating, traveling the world in 3 months, we traveled a bunch, but we traveled like our first year and a half of relationship, we traveled a lot. And so, yeah, we went on this epic journey. You really want to get to know somebody, travel with them, do it for a year and a half, go nomadic. And so within that, we've energetically been calibrating each other. I make a lot more money now with her than I did before because she's always seek this financial person. And so a lot of my growth has come through her desires. And she's a much, much softer person from her culture. She's like going to sweat lodges, going to women's circles, sitting with medicine. And for both of us, it's been dropping in more into our heart's healing. And we understand that we're mirrors for one another. And it's just really about breathing, dropping into our hearts and getting through the challenges that we know we're creating. Like Danny talked about, the little shit, not making it big shit, understanding how to like navigate your emotions, supporting your partner. And so for us, yeah, I see why we attracted each other. It's very like black and white as our energies are. She's very fiery and air and like elements energy. I'm very like grounded, fiery is energy. And at times we can be like polar opposites. And it's like knowing how to shift the energy, bring love back to that. Like, how does it actually look? Yeah, it's been a great journey because a lot of it is from being in a relationship for 14 years. I knew, and dating a bunch and being single a bunch, taking time. Like, I understood no matter if I chose to be in a relationship with somebody for my life, I knew things were going to come up
Yeah.
regardless with who it was. And for me, it was more about who I wanted to choose for those things to come up with. And my wife is a badass. Like, yeah, hats off to her. And knowing her mom and where they come from, is I see like the strength in her lineage. And yeah, it's beautiful. Like, it's been a beautiful relationship where we both get to expand, continue the depth of empathy that we can share with one another. And yeah, it's been everything. Literally, it's been everything. The darkness, the challenges, the light. We've gotten to travel the world. We have beautiful relationships. We have a beautiful international community. When people ask me where I live, I'm like, I live in the world. It just depends what that year brings, what I'm cultivating in the universe. And she has way more energy than I can keep up with. Yeah, it's been fun. We're transitioning, still working to create a family. And yeah, it's a beautiful part of my life that I'm honestly learning to cherish more and more. I've been very fortunate. Like, I just got to sit down and remember, because my life has been this way, but a lot of it is what I'm attracting. And it really just comes from this conversation that we're having about doing the healing work, surrounding yourself with people that can support you, that can teach you techniques. Like, for me, working with a knot, that's what transitioned to 14-year relationship. Like, I chose myself. And in a relationship now, when I choose myself and I show up differently, it creates a whole different energy. It ends codependency. It ends the pain. And sometimes it's not easy to take a stand for you, but you have to, and you do it. And all of a sudden, like, you start breaking those patterns and you start getting this like beautiful results in life, this new energy, this new vitality. And so, yeah, that's what it's been. And we have a lot of fun. We go to festivals, we do workshops, we try to stay fulfilled with life and learn together in all the aspects of relationships, from money to sexuality to communication. We're always like pushing boundaries and learning about each other through our relationship and our own journey. Yeah, it's been great.
That's awesome. I think that's such a beautiful story. And I think so many times people hear all of the ugly parts and the difficult challenges that relationships bring up, but it's not as often that we get to hear the magical fairy tale ending of not an ending, but it's like continues, right? It's like we found each other and we're making this grow together regardless. It's almost like
Yeah.
you're letting go of the ending completely, right? Because we're
Yeah.
just choosing
Well, I
now
mean,
of it's now and not this expectation of something that we thought maybe was the plan before. And it doesn't
yeah,
necessarily, the molds don't fit of like her background and you're this way and she's that way and those typical things that if you really are back to your heart and in tune with yourself and put
yeah,
yourself first, then those things grow to complement each other and grow and expand because you're able to hold space in different strengths where the other pieces before, where the previous old self, at least for me, was in this resistance of blocking another human because I was blocking myself.
it can show up in many different ways in relationships with money. And oftentimes they're like blind spots. It's like we're not even aware of it.
Yeah.
And like when we are, and then we start changing that behavior, that pattern, we integrate that, it's like a whole different life. The people that haven't experienced those major shifts, it's almost like a spell gets casted away. I've had that feeling when the energy just moves and there's a new knowing, a new understanding, a new connection that feels divine and profound. I can talk to a bunch of people that Like I just met the Waken community 7 months ago, and they've been in it and they're having the same experience, and we're doing very similar things. And so, yeah, you can understand that this is like this is something that's universal because you can talk about it in different parts of the world, and people are having similar experiences. And yeah, it's beautiful getting back to the heart.
I agree with you. It relates to anyone and everyone. And the exciting thing for me this week has been being able to open up and receive for the first time after a lot of our experiences and exercises from the weekend, and realizing how much of a challenge that had been for me, and receiving accolades of what I am doing and who I am being, which is
Mhm.
just me. I'm not
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it because of what I'm expecting or wanting someone to receive, but just
Mhm.
doing it. My 15-year-old niece texted me that she listened to the podcast with Mark this week, and
Mm.
she really liked it. It really helped her. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And different people giving me that feedback. And I,
How's it been for you to be seen?
it's been so much more of my journey than I ever imagined. And it just cut below a whole different level that I didn't even know was there. And it's been incredibly magical. And I was just talking with Kimberly yesterday and told her, I said, it was like the first few episodes that I created. I was like, okay, I know that I've experienced a lot of things. I know that I've learned a lot of things. So how can I help give this information to other people? And I had a very difficult time in those first few episodes because I was like, how do you say that for what I'm thinking that people want or need to hear? And then there was an episode that just broke me completely free and was like, no, like this is, I'm doing this. This is actually for me. This is helping me in that being seen and being my authentic self and not being afraid to say what I think and feel. And it's resonating so much more for other people now that I'm not trying to tell them what I think they need to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, you're being authentically you.
Yeah.
And yet that is what resonates with people.
And
You
that
know,
was the
it's
thing that I was having a meditation earlier, and I got down a little rabbit hole and thinking about, we say wanting to be your authentic self or your higher self. Well, what is that? Your higher? It feels like something different, but it's because if you haven't felt like really yourself, you haven't felt that energy, and that energy of your quote unquote higher self is so much lighter and freer and just golden floating feeling. And I've talked to a few different people this week, and it's been like, yeah, I just feel like I'm floating. And it's just, that is that space that people talk about, but now I'm feeling it and I'm like, oh shit, now I get it.
yeah. And you've read The Untethered Soul,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, Michael Singer.
and a lot of that journey is like experiencing that love, experiencing that light, experiencing that life force energy, and how we cultivate that. You're doing it. You're following what's exciting for you. And it's scary because what's exciting for you is usually what the heart desires. And so what the heart desire is scary, like quitting a job, like switching
Yeah.
roles, asking bold questions, like, hey, I have this project idea, right? Like all that stuff is, you're being guided by spirit, you're being guided by excitement. And my recommendation for people is see it all the way through with full integrity, and just keep doing that. I love the second book, The Surrender Experiment. I don't know if you read that.
No, I haven't seen that. I heard that one.
It's pretty much where he talks about surrendering to life's unfolding and the beautiful life he created, with like just saying yes to what life was bringing in front of him instead of running away from it. And because he just kept saying yes to life's unfolding, he built like an amazing corporation, an amazing meditation center. And it was like cool to read. And really, I really took that in. And like for me, really just surrendering to life's unfolding, it's more beautiful than I can fathom. And to tie it back earlier about, like for me, plant medicine, I've oftentimes referred to as visual plant medicine. It helps me try visions on, it helps me try things on. So actually, a lot of what I'm experiencing in life, even with my wife, are images of visions that I've had through working with Yahe, which is the family of ayahuasca. It showed me like this work that I'm doing. It looks different, but in general, it showed me the work that I'm doing. It showed me like I would marry a foreign woman. It told me why. It showed me so many things that every time I've leaned into these visions, it's been really positive for my life. Like the medicine showed me how I die. And so even outside of it's not so much I'm like, oh, that's how I'm gonna die. It allowed me to experience my death and I was okay with it. It's more how I take the meaning of that. Yeah, for me, it's both the combination of following my heart and having some guidance and tools to shape that vision into reality. Because it's like, that's why we dream. That's what we call it. Do you have a dream? It's a vision. And we meet amazing people like Mark. They help you take a thought into a process, into your being and integrate it. He takes a thought into your being, whether it's negative or positive, he'll flip and reverse it, flip the script and integrate a new identity. And yeah, that's like a tool, but that's the same thing we experience with plant medicine. There's an awakening. There's like the medicine, depending on the medicine, will have you have certain releases, certain connections for you to integrate that. Yeah, it's keep following that excitement and you have the tools, you're with the right people and life is going to test you because you said yes to this journey and life always has its challenges. And so I always see people, I have the huge opportunity to talk to thousands of people about what they're dealing with. Oftentimes they're just choosing the struggle that's not giving them the life that they want. They're struggling with the job that they have, the relationship that they're in, they're unhappy about it, and they keep choosing it because if they let that go, there's something on the other side that's going to cause them another challenge. They might have to find a new job. They might have to level up and create something different. They may have to
Be single for a while.
there's so many challenges that they can face. They continue the challenge that keeps them unhappy. Is just choose the challenge is going to give you the life that you want. It's just it's a one comes from a victim energy, comes from a creator. And yeah, I'm jabbing now a lot, but yeah, that's what's coming through right now.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
No, I think that's really a good way for us to wrap up as like, it's all of these different pieces, whether it's the story or breath work or plant medicine, the community, it's all of the different components that go into it. But it all comes back to getting back to yourself and loving yourself first, and that relationship with yourself. So I think that is incredibly important. And I appreciate the community that you've been part of with me and been able to hold this space for me and so many others. And honestly, helped me to get to this point because I don't know if I told you the story, but when we first started doing the 4-step process with the ego and identifying it, it was my name. I was saying my name. And that was the only time that I ever said my name was whenever I was being critical of myself. And from that moment, that first one that you did with Adam was like changed. Writing down in my journal and my affirmations every day, the first thing is, I love you, Amanda. I'm proud of you, Amanda. I believe in you, Amanda. I trust you. And recognizing whenever I was letting that ego say those bad things to me, how impactful that was. So that was a massive turning point for me to, I don't know, maybe fake it till I made it. I don't know. I hate saying that kind of stuff, but it was like, wow.
The way I like to describe that is the process from being to becoming.
Exactly. It was like learning it. Okay, I know this is right, but I don't really feel it yet whenever I first started saying it because I hadn't said it or felt it before.
Yeah.
And
you haven't practiced that. You've learned something different. You've been practicing something different. And I think that's what people don't recognize. These are just learned patterns, learned behaviors, learned way of being. Like you see a baby, they're just like, they can't even hold their head up. So the family, the culture, the community has to teach everything for this baby to thrive in society. So it's like they taught us everything. So what is our authentic self is like, we got to go on a journey, right? And that's why we work with plant medicine ceremony because they take us on that journey faster. And we can integrate those states of being of who we really are in this life. And when we do it from the heart, that's genuine because that's really, when you meet people that are heart-centered and they're vibrating at that, it's a different frequency. You can feel like how they're showing up. It's a different state.
That's so exciting. It's so exciting. Thank you for coming on to the podcast today and sharing your journey and part of your story with us because and we're all one, we're all connected. So let's heal together. If somebody wants to find out more information about you, any sites you want to put up or follow you on Instagram.
Yeah. For my people in the community, follow me on IG. I like to follow you back. I like to people post about their lives. I get to build a relationship through social media that way with you guys. So if I don't follow you and you're in the community, send me a message because there's a lot of you guys, so I lose track. But yeah, Daniel.Rios.Romero is my Instagram handle. And also, yeah, I'm right now, my whole focus, my whole energy is going to the Awaken community. Everything that I'm servicing, I just rather do it through this community. It just
Yeah.
feels better than
Yeah, it's great.
me talking to the outside world now. It's fun, but there's steps that people got to take to work with plant medicine that, and you guys just get better results. And so yeah, go to dannymorel.com, go to Awaken. 90% of the time I'll be there. Join one of our communities and I'm very
Yeah.
present there. We have a beautiful movement. Amanda's part of it. And we have many amazing members like Amanda who are in it together, playing life at different levels in every way, relationship, health, money, and just a bunch of people who are coming together to create on their own lives and continue learning because we're all in the journey. I'm in it as much as you are. I just met Mark and Anat a long time ago. And so I've integrated a little bit more and it's boom, we got there much faster because a lot of what I see, people are getting the results I had much faster and like cleaner, just feels like cleaner than because mine was I didn't have such a tight container for support. But anyways, yeah, it's been fun. Thank you so much for having me and thank you all for listening. Let's hang out somewhere. And yeah, thank you, Amanda, for being part of my life. It's super fun to connect with you more in person and in this podcast too.
Yeah, thank you. I just absolutely loved this episode. Daniel has been a huge part of my healing journey, so it was a treasure to be able to have a conversation with him. I hope that you guys took away how important community is. And if you don't have a community already and you're looking to join one, this is your sign. Now is time to do it. And I am starting one, so I am able to use all these different communities of individuals that I've connected with throughout my healing journey, and I want to help you too. So comment below if you're interested, comment community, and I'll send you a link. We can connect. And also, you can follow on Instagram for more information, and I hope we can heal together.